Okay, so we know about the fire. In Shediac, Provincial Jail, we knew there's a problem with provincial jails, period. Prisoners are being forced to walk home because once the sentence is done, Liberals came up with a policy, they're no longer the responsibility of the government. So, I'd like to get an update on what's going on lately with, an update with the fire in Shediac. I never did this before. I'm going to be calling Mike Davidson. He's the son of Bob Davidson. Bob Davidson, when I was involved with the St. John District Labor Council. The good old days. Bob Hicks, Abel LeBlanc. Let's see if we get something here. Michael.
Charles, what's going on?
You're doing good, doing good. You're the first one that I interview on the speakerphone.
Yeah, I don't have Facebook.
No, you should be honored. Somebody trying to call me. That's okay. Freak them. Okay, so what's the latest in Shediac?
Well, the latest in Shediac is that they're still trying to get word on when the operations are still going to continue up there. They're still investigating, as far as I know, the cause and as well too what needs to be repaired. So the units are down right now. Some of the units I think can be repaired, but we're not sure exactly the extent of the damage just yet. Like we said, that's still being assessed. So we're hoping that it's not going to be down too long, so that life gets back to normal for both the inmates and the officers.
Did you see the video I made with the minister, Denis Landry?
Yes.
Yeah, funny. Well, not funny, but it's there's so many issues to talk about, and then I got distracted by other issues. But were the prisoners, were they at any danger at any time, do you know?
Well, I think everybody kind of was in a state of emergency, which obviously there was potential of danger for everybody involved. But I think that, under the circumstances, there were no injuries and there were no security issues. So I think that obviously it's a success, is the way I pegged it in terms of everybody and the first responders in the community as well too. Everybody came to the aid and made sure that nobody got hurt and the security was intact for the community.
Did they, after what happened in St. John, the St. John fire, do they train for stuff like this? Did they tell the prisoners, like in school, saying, okay, let's train for just in case there's a fire?
Well, absolutely. There were protocols before the institution even opened up. Obviously, the staff were given the protocols, the fire emergency drills and everything. And, as new employees come in the door, they're also trained as well too on those protocols. So everybody was trained in the case of, or in the event of a fire, what to do and what to expect.
How was the atmosphere? Did they have high power rifle all around, or did they? Is it like Alabama and Mississippi? How did that go?
No, the provincial institutions obviously are not as guarded as the federal institutions. Obviously, they don't have the watchtowers with the automatic rifles like the federal institutions do. It's a little bit more of a laid-back security, I guess, is the way that I can describe it. But in all of it, obviously, it's still a very tense situation for everybody involved when you have to move 162 inmates in an awful quick amount of time, and do it in a manner that obviously everybody's safety is protected. The inmate safety is number one, and all staff as well too. So, yeah, I mean, I was being told it was just out of a scene of a movie, the way that everything kind of transpired in the emergency situation. Obviously, it was very scary for everybody involved.
I was there last summer. Just did a video because my pet peeve is once the sentence is over, they're no longer the responsibility of the government. So therefore, they open the door and say, voila, Fredericton is that way. And I found Shediac Provincial. I had a hard time to find that place. That's pretty. It's close to the 4-lane highway, but it's pretty long. There's no homes around.
Yeah, it's a little ways out of the beaten path. We're not sure exactly, why the location was chosen to build an institution there.
Bernard Victor Boudreau writing? Was it Bernard Richard the old days? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Anyway, so how's your workers? How's your brothers? How's the union doing? How the workers doing?
Well, the workers were getting burnt out, ever since the fire. I mean, that day, everybody that was working stayed till almost midnight that night. So they basically pulled double shift that day, and of course, that they haven't stopped since then. And of course, the officers reported that were supposed to report the next day, reported to the institution, and from there they were dispersed to the other institutions to help out with the overload. So, they do their 12-hour shift, plus they're driving on top of that. So the officers were pulling off double duties, as to say, and they continue to do that as of now. So a lot of the officers who've been working ever since the fire, obviously is starting to get a little bit burned out, some of them. So, we've been trying to reach out to the Department of Justice to try and sit down and start having some talks to say, what does it look like for the officer needs right now in the immediate short term, but also as well, too, what we're going to do to mitigate it for the long term as well.
Where are the majority of the prisoners transferred to? Dalhousie, St. John, Miramichi?
I can't say for sure where the majority are. I mean, I know that,
They're all male, right? All male, yes. They're all male. What age around? Is there an average?
No, I don't believe that there's an average. Not that I'm aware of.
Now you commit the crime, you do the time. It don't matter how old you are. Okay, you can tell I don't have these questions all marked up. Go ahead, continue.
As long as you're over 18, I guess you're considered an adult. So,
yeah.
I mean, they're all adults.
Don't worry, I'll know soon enough. The Fredericton police are working on that now so I could have a closer look. Don't answer that. Anyway, so where's the majority of the prisoners? Do you know?
Well, I'm not sure where the majority are. Obviously, what they've done is they've dispersed the inmate populations throughout the provincial institutions that we do have that had units that were available to accommodate them. St. John had a unit that was down. Obviously, that's fully operational now, and a number of inmates went there. And I've been told a number of inmates went to Miramichi as well, too, because that institution had some availability. So I think between the two, or the majority of the inmates transported to the majority of the two. So I'm not exactly sure the numbers. And, of course, we're not going to be able to say who went where. That's up to the department to share that with the families of the inmates. So.
It's a coincidence that you were bitching. Here we go. You were complaining. We got to be politically correct here about double bunking before this fire.
Yeah, it was very unique in the timing, I guess. And obviously we had no idea this was coming.
Yeah, come on, you must have known because you were complaining before. Come on. You can tell me. I won't tell anybody.
Anyways, but it's been no secret that we've been very vocal about the double bunking problems that have transpired in some of our institutions. And of course, it's while we had open units in the institutions. That's where we've been stating very openly is that, it creates a health and wellness issue for the inmates, but also a safety concern as well, too. And I think that you have a good handle on it. You've been dealing with this issue. I've seen interviews that you've had, probably 3-4 years ago. Who was the previous Minister of Justice? I'm trying to recall his name. But I remember you did an interview on this whole issue of double bunking in terms of the beds being placed on the floor.
Yeah, because I was there. I seen it.
Yeah, it's not a very good situation for everybody involved. And
no, it's not.
Our position has been clear, is that if you have open cells or available cells with nobody in them anywhere within the province, and obviously that's where they should be placing the inmates so that they can be housed appropriately. And yeah, that's what we were saying, is that St. John had an open unit that wasn't being used, and we had inmates that were being double bunked at that time, which is, as far as we're concerned, a safety issue.
One more question. Why do I get involved in these things anyway?
Well, I think that what you want to do is make life better for people and give people a voice that quite simply don't have a voice.
No, that issue about the inmates is not your guys' fault. To make them not, they sentence here to Fredericton, to send them to St. John, Miramichi, Dalhousie, but they don't bring them back. And these people got no families, no friends, and I find that disgusting.
That's a provincial issue, obviously.
Yeah. You had a baby there, or how many kids you got?
Well, I got a house full here right now.
I see that. Okay, never mind. Don't answer that. Okay, Michael. Did I forget anything?
No, we're just trying to figure out what's going to go on here in the long term, when we can put life back to normal as it is. Obviously, it's not really a normal life inside of a correctional institution, but as far as the workers go, trying to provide some known outcomes for some long-term plans, but also as well too for the inmates as well too, so we can try and get the institutions, I guess, settled somewhat. Some consistency back.
Happy.
That's good. So you're my first one that I interviewed like this. It'll be on the blog in about half an hour. And you know what the best thing about all this? There's no editing.
Well, I trust you on that, and
no editing.
Talking to you, as always.
Yeah.
You've definitely got a good handle on the issues that are relevant to the province of New Brunswick and the people in New Brunswick.
I thank you very much, and you tell your father I said hello.
I will, Charles. You take care.
Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that was that. Michael Davidson. I met him once last year. Nice guy. And this thing was pretty straightforward. So, like I said, my first one. And we got a little idea of what's going on in the provincial jail, especially in Shediac. And we might do this with other people. This is good. Okay, stay tuned.